Hello and welcome to the Gale Valley News. Netflix has seen a surge in sign-ups due to the coronavirus lockdown, but has warned investors that subscriber growth will slow. The streaming giant added more than 10 million subscribers in the 3 months to July, bringing the total of new subscribers to 26 million in 2020. In contrast, Netflix saw 28 million new subscribers for the whole of 2019. Growth is slowing as consumers get through the initial shock of coronavirus and social restrictions. Netflix shares dropped in after hours trading as investors digested the firm's quarterly update. The streaming service's revenue increased almost 25% to £4.9 million, while profits rose to £720 million in the quarter, up from £271 million a year ago. The subscriber additions were far higher than analysts had expected. While some people might still end up quitting the service, the pandemic has clearly shown that Netflix is an indispensable part of viewers' lives, said Paolo Pescatore, analyst at PP Foresight. Sophie Lund-Yates, equity analyst at Hargreaves Lansdown, said the streaming service will have to continue to spend heavily on new shows and movies to keep its audience. While Netflix is still the biggest fish in the tank, if it wants to keep it that way, there is work to be done, she said. I think that it should focus on markets outside the US, where there is more growth potential. Netflix also announced it was promoting Chief Content Officer Ted Sarandos to co-chief executive. This change makes formal what was already informal, that Ted and I share the leadership of Netflix, Chief Executive Reed Hastings told investors. From my point of view, I think this is a good thing. Actually, Netflix needs to consider that it's not always going to be the top dog. No business stays at the top for, forever, and that, competing forces will kind of drag things down over time. It's received a massive spike in subscriptions, which it should be incredibly grateful for. And actually, this is one of those few businesses, much like Amazon, much like a couple of other companies, who have benefited from the virus, where people have had to stay at home, where people have either been furloughed, where they cannot work, so have all the spare time, which they normally wouldn't have, and potentially, depending on how long they're kind of on furlough for, or how their financial situation remains, will determine how long they maintain these subscriptions. You also have to consider that there are a lot more businesses implementing these as well. For example, Disney Plus is one of those, and therefore there's a more focus on kind of greater variety of content and more players in the market, which will eventually drive their businesses down. They're just incredibly lucky, and they need to consider that can't stay the same forever. Whatever you think, leave your comments down below, like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe.